Setting goals is a very important part of our life's process. Guess how many people have a constant plan for setting, rearranging, evaluating, and strengthening the purpose of their goals? The answer is very few. In fact, if you will do this, you will become among the few who do, that become the envy of all who watch. In the leadership seminar, we came up with a whole 10-year plan of goal setting, business goals and personal goals, family goals, economic goals, financial independence. It's a basic fundamental. In fact, if you will work hard on setting goals, put together a plan for setting goals, reevaluate them, rearrange them, constantly talk about them, go over them again and again, I tell you what this process will do in my personal opinion. It'll put you in what's known as the top 5%. And if you want to be successful, if you want your life to really change in major ways, this is one of the fundamentals. A constant plan for setting, rearranging, evaluating, and strengthening the purpose of your goals. We need to take a look into the future. We've got to have the future well designed. The future is called the promise. And here's what we teach in our leadership series. The promise of the future can be an awesome force for your own future. The promise of the future, designing the future. There's two ways to face the future. One is with apprehension, and the other is with anticipation. I promise you, in my travels around the world, most people face the future with apprehension. And here's why. They don't have it well designed. They've sort of left that up to someone else to fix. But here's the best way to face the future, with anticipation. And you can face the future with anticipation if the future is clear, if the future is well designed. In setting goals, it's very simple. Number one, decide what you want. You just take a little time. You sit down and say, what do I want? What kind of skills do I want? What kind of income do I want for the future? Where would I like to go? Places I'd like to visit. Habits I'd like to acquire, skills I'd like to have. You just take a little time to think about what you want. Economics, friendships, people you'd like to meet, places you'd like to go. You just take some time. And then I suggest, when you've thought about what you want for the future, make a list. Just jot it all down. It's really a very simple process. Get together with your family, your wife, your husband, your children, your business colleagues, and make it one of the major fundamentals in your life, constantly setting, rearranging, evaluating, and strengthening the purpose of your goals. That's number one, fundamental for success. Here's number two, a clear picture of what you intend to do with your present resources. That's a fundamental. Figuring out a plan of what to do and how to manage your present resources. Most everyone I talk to has already got something. The big question is, what are you doing with it? Most everyone has some time, they have some resources, they have some money, or they have a paycheck, or they have some kind of resources, or they have some kind of net worth. The big question is, what are you doing with it? Where are you investing it? Where are you putting it? First of all, you've got to understand about society and about money. You've got to understand how to earn it, where to get it, where it comes from, and the importance of managing it. Kids ought to be taught from the time they're just small what to do with a dollar. If a child has a dollar and goes and spends it, right away they've developed the wrong habits. And sure enough, if they continue those poor management habits over the first dollar, you can imagine they're probably going to do the same poor things with those same dollars when they get older. The plans we learn when we're small, sure enough, are most often the plans we follow the rest of our lives. What to do with your money and where to put it. We teach in the care and feeding of the goose that lays the golden eggs. You've got to be a happy taxpayer. You've got to make sure some of your money goes into financial institutions so that successful people can borrow it and start other businesses that employ more people. You've got to make sure that you give some of your money for charity. So for charity and for taxes and for savings and for the accumulation of capital, it's very important to have a management plan for your present resources so that at age 65 you don't wind up like most people do, broke. You wind up with substance, you wind up with plenty to share, you wind up with plenty to enjoy. A plan for using all of your present resources wisely. What I'm saying is we all need a consistent plan for the gathering of knowledge, a consistent plan for going to the library, a consistent plan for attending the lectures, attending the seminars. Most people get ideas just spasmodically, or when someone happens to come by, or they just happen to hear someone, or they happen to read a book that might have some ideas that could help to benefit their life. When you listen to a sermon, make sure you've got your journal to take notes. Wherever you go, gather knowledge, but gather it on purpose. Do it constantly, do it daily, and do it consistently. We need a consistent plan for reading books. Most people just read books haphazardly, spasmodically, or most people just don't read at all. Or they don't have a good plan for reading the right books. Sure enough, the man reads the comics instead of the classics. And he misses all the things that could really benefit his life because he doesn't have a plan. Here's a good thought to consider. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. Good ideas must be pursued. You must go where they are. You must seek them out. And there's an important Bible phrase that says, if you seek, if you search, you will find. Sure enough, a consistent plan for gathering knowledge, reading the books, attending the lectures, putting together ideas and having a place to capture them like a journal where you can repeat them and go over them. That's a fundamental that if you'll follow it, will put you in the top 5%. Guess how many people have a consistent plan for the gathering of knowledge? Answer, very few. And what you want to be is one of the very few. You need a plan, a detailed plan for the use of your work time. We call it a game plan. Most people try to design tomorrow and next week and next month in their head. They try to just decide what they're going to do. And most people don't even think that far ahead. They think, I have to get up in the morning and go to work, and that's about the extent of it. But a game plan for financial independence, a game plan for your work time, a game plan for your personal time. The family needs a game plan so that you won't miss some of the important things that are helpful to your life and to your success. The kids need a game plan. Mom needs a game plan. Dad needs a game plan. You need a business game plan. You need a game plan for your office. If you're in business, a game plan for your business. A detailed plan for the use of your work time. In the leadership seminar, we talk about how to put together this detailed plan for the day and for the week and for the month. How to stretch out a plan for 6 months and for a year. In doing business around the world, we found that you have to detail the plans in great detail. Otherwise, sure enough, you're going to miss something. And I can promise you that a detailed plan for the use of your work time will put you in the top 5%, because most people don't have one. Mr. Shoaff shared with me when I first met him when I was 25 years old. He said, Jim, to do better, you've got to get around the right people. If you have a constant association of people who can better your life and better your lifestyle, you can't believe the progress that you can make. An association of people of common interest in progress, success, ideas, and philosophy. I have a good phrase for you. Never mistake the power of influence. The man says, well, I live here, but it doesn't really bother me. See, that's not true. He says, I'm around these people, but they really don't bother me. See, that's not true. Whoever you're around, whoever you're with, is exerting some kind of influence on your life. And what you must do, and this would be the good year to do it, the first year you've heard about it, is make plans to get around the right people. People who talk positive ideas. People who talk philosophy, the refinement of philosophy. See, just the latest joke won't help. You've got to get around people who read, people who are successful, and people who are growing and changing. Otherwise, your influence is going to be in the opposite direction. And I know most of us, wherever you work, you have to be around some negative influences. But what you must do is counterbalance that by an association of the right people, getting around the right people who can help to change your life for the better. Associating with the right people on a constant, consistent basis. So work on that one. If you will work on an association of the right people who can help you to grow financially, personally, spiritually, socially, sure enough, it'll put you in the top 5%. Guess how many people have an association of people of common interest in progress, success, ideas, and philosophy? Answer, very few. But be one of the few. Mr. Shoaff taught me this one when I first met him at age 25. He called it lifestyle. Learning how to live. A constant plan for figuring ways to live uniquely and to enjoy your present substance. Lifestyle is the challenge of learning how to live well. See, if you earned well and didn't live well, see, that would be pitiful. If a man made a great deal of money, but his personality didn't change and his lifestyle didn't change, his uniqueness didn't change, see, that would be pitiful. It's pitiful to find a man in a $500,000 home and sure enough, he's a $5,000 man. Learning the skills of lifestyle, what to do with your money so that you get joy from it. Shoaff taught me the simplest little things, like tip. He taught me what the word tip meant. I didn't know. I'm from a little farm community. What did I know about tip? He said tip, the word T-I-P, tip, comes from a little phrase called to ensure promptness. And the more I thought about that, then I understood what he meant. If a tip is to ensure promptness, when should you give it? Answer, up front. You don't wait to see whether or not you've gotten good service to decide to tip. You ensure good service. Mr. Shoaff said to me, sophisticated people make sure they get good service. It's just one of the little things to learn called lifestyle. How to enjoy your family, how to enjoy your money, how to enjoy your time and your substance, how to enjoy your own thoughts, figuring ways to anticipate your family's needs, to do it with joy instead of animosity, to get great delight in the substance you now have. Most people say, if I had more money, I'd be happier. But happiness is something you have to work on besides money, because the money won't make you happy. One of the great things to learn in life is that you can learn a great deal. There's hardly anything you can't learn. If you wished, you could learn several languages. There's so many skills that you can develop that you want to make sure that you've got a timetable and a plan for developing all those skills. Don't settle for less than you can be. See, at the end of your life, you don't want to wake up and discover that you've only lived 1/10 of it. And the person you could have become, you let that slide. The skill you could have developed, you just didn't take the time. There's a great deal of discipline required in developing all of your personal skills, but I can tell you that it's well worth the discipline. Make sure you go to the classes. Make sure you do all that you possibly can to develop every skill you can, from the skill of leadership, the skill of diplomacy, the skill of language, the skill of business. Whatever you can learn, make sure you take the time to learn it. Plan for the development of all your personal skills. Keeping my old list of goals. I'm telling you, this served me so well, keeping my old list of goals. I look back now 10, 20 years ago at goals I set, lists I made, and I smile now because here's what I thought was so important, 20 years ago. Now some of those things aren't even on my list. I've got a new list. I've grown, I've changed, I've matured. But I give you that advice. Decide what you want. Number 2, write it down. Number 3, keep the old lists. And then here's number 4. When you get something that's on one of these lists, check it off. Part of the fun of having a list is checking it off. And then if you can add some drama to checking it off, see, that's what really helps. I set a goal to go to Spain many, many years ago. And when I finally made my first trip to Spain, I had that journal with me that had that list in it. And while I had my journal on my lap, waiting for the wheels to touch down in Madrid, I waited until the wheels touched the runway and I checked it off. Just adding a little drama. So, part of the fun of having a list is checking it off. Now, here's what's important about the list and designing your future. If the future gets clear, the price gets easier. Because you got to remember, for every promise, there's a price to pay. Everybody's got to pay the price. Everybody's got to do the deal. Everybody's got to do the disciplines. Everybody has to pay. But here's what I've discovered. If the promise is clear and powerful, the price is easy to pay. Setting goals is plain hard work. It's work. I know it's work. That's why a lot of people just let it slide. It's work. Many people work hard on their job, but they don't work hard on their future. They just let that slide. And the work involved is making plans. I know most people don't. I understand that. But don't let that be you. Guy says, well, yeah, you work where I work, but the time you struggle home, it's late. You've got to eat a bite of supper, watch a little TV, get to bed. You can't sit up half the night. Plan, plan, plan. And the guys be good worker, hard worker, sincere. But you've got to be better than sincere, working hard. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good planner. Somebody once wisely said, the people who fail to plan are planning to fail. Well said. Put your goals in your journal. Because one of the major people you want to study is yourself. Say, here's the list of goals I put together 3 weeks ago. Here's the list of goals I put together 2 years ago. Here's some of the changes I made, rearrangement of my priorities. I scratched these off, I put these on, I've gotten these. Study your accomplishments, study what your desires are. Put them on paper, write them down. Here's another reason for writing your goals down. It shows you're serious about doing better. And to do better, you gotta get serious. You don't have to be grim, but you must be serious. I used to have the affliction called passive hope. It's an affliction. It's bad. Probably what's even worse than that is happy hope. Now that is really bad. That's bad. Happy hope. So get serious about your goals, put them on paper, write them down. There's all kinds, his goals, her goals, their goals. Business goals, financial independence goals, family goals. I mean, there's so many things to work on this, that if you don't get busy and work on it, sure enough, the time will pass. And sure enough, 5 years from now, you'll wind up where you don't want to be, wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, being what you don't want to be. Now's the time to fix it. And here's one of the important phrases of the evening. Your goals are affecting you, whatever they are. Your goals affect your handshake. Your goals affect your attitude, personality. Your goals affect the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress. All day long, we're being affected by our goals. Now, some people have goals, but they have such lousy goals. The effect is bad. I asked a guy one time, what are your goals for this month? The guy said, look, if I could just scrape up enough money to pay these lousy bills. That was his goal. I'm not saying it isn't the goal. It's a goal, but it's such a lousy goal, the effect is bad. You don't jump out of bed on Monday morning and say, oh boy, another chance to go out and scrape up the money to pay my lousy bills. See, you don't do that. Usually you say, oh, not another Monday. And some people have so given up on life, they have joined the thank God it's Friday club. How sad. Everybody hopes things will get better. Everybody hopes. Poor people hope. That ought to tell you something. It means the future does not get better by hope. It gets better by plan.